In China's Valley of the Kings, there stands a tall, carved stone. It marks the tomb of a woman who rose from lowly concubine to become Emperor of China, the only woman to dare claim that title. But China's female emperor has gone down in history as a controversial and deeply divisive ruler.
To have a woman with such power really threatened the establishment.
Not only did Wu Zetian rock the boat, in some ways she overturned it.
It would have been a very dangerous thing to get in the way of Wu Zetian.
Since her death 1,300 years ago, Wu Zetian has been remembered as a callous tyrant who brought calamity to China. But now, extraordinary new discoveries are revealing a very different picture of her reign. From ancient tombstones
I've been waiting since this was excavated. I am ecstatic.
to Buddhist temples,
I honestly wasn't expecting that. That is really exciting.
Seeing this with your own eyes is an incredible experience.
and lost treasures.
It's even more fantastic than I thought it would be.
Now, for the first time, experts are discovering how one woman managed to rule all of Imperial China. And whether Wu Zetian really was an evil dictator or one of the most misunderstood leaders in history. The only female emperor in China's 2,000 years of imperial history was named Wu Zetian, Wu the Celestial. She first entered court in 637 AD as a 13-year-old concubine, part of the harem of mistresses serving Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty.
Tang Taizong had more than 100 concubines. By repute, she was beautiful, she was charming, she was entertaining. She also had a real zest for life.
Concubine Wu soon got herself noticed.
When she entered the palace, she quickly gained favor of this emperor, and her relationship became closer. And with the rise of her influence at court, and she proved to be politically very, very skillful, and she's very shrewd.
When the old emperor died, Wu Zetian became at first concubine to his son, Gaozong. Then in 655, he made her his empress. But Emperor Gaozong was a sickly man. And gradually, Wu became the real power behind the throne. Until in 690, with her husband dead, Wu Zetian stepped from the shadows and declared herself emperor. Yet China's ancient chroniclers were scathing in their accounts of her rise to power.
History tells us a really dark and bleak picture about Empress Wu. One of the most brutal stories we have is that she killed her own child just to frame the previous empress and gain station at court.
We're also told that Wu Zhao had her two rivals' legs and arms cut off and then dipped them in a vat of wine and let them slowly bleed to death. So this paints a picture of a devious, manipulating, calculating, self-serving, and absolutely ruthless virago, hell-bent on power.
Even after she claimed the throne, we're told Wu Zetian was ruthless in her reign.
This is the tomb of Wu Zetian's second son, Li Xian. He was a threat to his mother. Li Xian was accused of treason, and he was exiled to the most remote corner of the Chinese Empire, locked in a room, and forced to commit suicide by poisoning. So this is a mother killing her own son so that she can hold on to power.
Wu Zetian led China for nearly 50 years. According to legend, she was a tyrant whose reign brought disaster to the empire. Now, archaeologists are unearthing new evidence that challenges this version of Wu's story. Professor Zhong Zhanlin is the world's leading archaeologist of the Tang era.
唐王朝时期遗留下来的这个历史文献也是非常。
Каждый из вас является потенциальным преступником. Каждый из вас нарушает 115-й федеральный закон минимум по 2 десяткам параметров. А это значит, каждому из вас можно заблокировать счета как минимум и начать предъявлять какие-нибудь обвинения. Кто в этом виноват? Вы. Поднимите руки, пожалуйста, кто не нашел у себя ни одной статьи Уголовного кодекса. 3 человека есть из 300. Если, например, вы бухгалтер, и вы пришли на этот семинар без своего директора и без учредителя. Девочки, да вы упаритесь своим учредителям и директорам что-то доказывать и все эти вещи доносить. Проще их сюда прислать на этот семинар, чтобы я им все разжевал и донес. Это будет в разы более эффективно, чем самим пытаться кого-то в чем-то убедить. Кто-то из вас, возможно, проснется. Кто-то из вас, возможно, преодолеет свой собственный страх, потому что в современном мире открывать рот опасно, а не делать это, коллеги, фатально и ведет к рабству. Я смотрю, вы немножко погрустнели. Послушайте, не надо из-за этого грустнеть. Я просто попытался снять с вас розовые очки. А я на этом семинаре сделаю все возможное для того, чтобы чуть-чуть обезопасить свои активы, законно снизить налогообложение. А теперь первое задание, и мы наконец-то начнем наш семинар. Вот эта схема нам экономит прибыль, она нам экономит страховые, она много чего экономит. И первое место по удобству индивидуальные предприниматели, второе место по удобству производственные кооперативы, и все это упрощенка 6%. Подобные семинары я провожу по всей стране. Но единственный город – это город Москва, где мы работаем без каких бы то ни было ограничений по времени. Единственный город – это город Москва, где присутствует максимальное количество консультантов. Это единственное место, где мы можем, вплоть до того, что если надо кому-то в офис ездить, мы в офис едем, материалов всех хватает и прочее. И вот наша задача с вами – научиться работать в этих условиях полного, тотального контроля.
非常多的，但是这个我们通过这个考古的这个发现，能够更加的丰富，对我们对野狮和武则天，特别是提供了很多这个丰富的资料，比如说，这个了解唐代历史的这样一批资料。
Today, the city of Xi'an has grown to encompass old Chang'an, Wu's capital. With a population of 12 million, Xi'an is rapidly expanding. It's also home to Professor Zhang's conservation facility. Historian Dr. Harry Rothschild has heard about some intriguing recent finds that date to Wu's reign.
Whoa.
It's amazing seeing all these Tang artifacts. I've been studying Wu Zetian, for 17 years. And finally, here we are at ground zero. You know, you can censor everywhere here in Chang'an.
The figurines show life in Wu's capital. The musicians, traders, and nobles buried with the dead to ensure a comfortable afterlife. But there's also something unexpected here. A first clue to what Wu's China was really like.
看到这个骑马的一位妇女，这也表明了在这个时期啊，妇女在社会上她自由度比较大的一个。我们可以看看这个 唐代的这个仕女，刚才我们看了一段穿女装的，那么我们可以看到，这个唐代的妇女还有一种非常流行的时尚，就是穿男人的衣服。因为女子啊，当时在社会中啊，她可以像男子一样，可以随便的出来活动，比如说骑马呀、打猎呀、出去游玩呐，都可以的。武则天的时候啊，这个妇女的地位得到了空前的提高，比以前要高得多，所以他们的这个活动呀和他们的言论啊，自由度更大。出现这样。
So we're looking at an unprecedented boost for the position of women. You're talking about a female emperor here, after all, and so that translated directly into sort of greater opportunity and greater freedom for women in the late 7th and early 8th century.
It seems like there may be more to Wu Zetian than meets the eye. Ancient chroniclers denigrated her reign. But many recent tomb discoveries, like the women in men's clothing, hint at a rather different story. Professor Tonya Eckfeld is an expert on Tang-era tombs. She's on her way to see one of the most amazing archaeological finds in all Chinese history.
It's amazing. It's even more fantastic than I thought it would be.
This is the fabled Phoenix Crown of ancient China. A long-lost treasure from the Tang era, written about in ancient texts but never seen until now. This priceless headdress is held under lock and key and can only be viewed by special appointment. Tonya believes it is a vital clue to the truth about Wu Zetian's China.
There's an enormous amount to investigate in this piece. Looking closely, the metalwork is filigree and there's a lot of granulation. Granulation consists of tiny little beads of gold. The whole crown is like a peacock displaying its tail. There are very, very fine flowers made of mother of pearl and pearl. There are even fine bunches of grapes made of Chinese glass. So really what we see here is something cosmopolitan and something rich, something fashionable, full of luxury items, not only in the making of it, but also in the imagery involved.
Professor Xiang's team found the Phoenix Crown in a grave that was already an exceptional find, a tomb that had never been raided. Inside was a skeleton, and on the skull, a beehive hairstyle, studded with jewels. The skeleton was of a young woman named Li Chui, a minor descendant of the Tang royal family. For 18 months, the team carefully picked out every single jewel and stone, slowly piecing together the headdress to reveal its true glory. But when they used X-ray chromatography to discover where the different jewels and stones came from, they were in for a surprise. The headdress has carnelian from Uzbekistan, 2,900 miles to the west of Chang'an. Garnet from India, 3,000 miles southwest. Amber from Iran, 4,000 miles away. And ivory from Sri Lanka, 4,500 miles from Wu's capital.
Никого не интересует, выживет бизнесмен на классической системе налогообложения или не выживет. Чтобы заплатить...
The crown gives us clues about Wu Zetian's society. Life was rich. There was a lot of luxury. It was a real high point in the arts. What we can see here is the embodiment of all of the wealth and all of the treasure that the Tang court could attract.
Li Chui wasn't even a princess, yet she was buried wearing this priceless headdress. Clear evidence of the extraordinary wealth of China at the time. Her tomb holds one final secret. she was buried with a jade silkworm in her hand. Another clue that reveals Wu's ambitions to make her China the wealthiest empire in the world. In 7th century China, a woman named Wu Zetian rose from lowly concubine to empress. With her husband, the emperor, sick, she ruled the empire in all but name. Ancient chroniclers dismissed her reign as a time of calamity. But today's experts think the truth may be very different. In a tomb 50 miles northwest of Wu's capital city, Chang'an, Tonya Eckfeld is investigating murals that provide strong evidence of Wu's influence and power.
Here we can see a mural of foreign ambassadors coming to court. Ambassadors came from far and wide. In this mural we can see a Mongolian, a Korean, and a tonsured monk, perhaps from Rome or Syria. There's a man from Xinjiang, from Greece, and from Persia. It's interesting because we can see that the ambassadors are in quite subservient positions. Their hands are clasped before them and seem quite in awe of the situation.
The mural suggests that Wu Zetian was a respected international leader of her time.
I think Wu Zetian was a consummate politician. She saw advantage in the use of diplomacy rather than warfare, and led a society that was quite open and open to foreigners. Many foreigners at high level beat a path to her door.
Recent research suggests that there were 25,000 foreigners living in Wu's Chang'an. Many were traders, and more than anything, they were after one Chinese product. Since the 4th millennium BC, China had produced the finest quality silk. By Wu's era, the demand for Chinese silk had made it as valuable as gold. The ancient trade routes of the Silk Road began in Chang'an, spreading east and west, linking China to other nations. But by the mid-7th century, bandits and robbers threatened to stop trade in its tracks. New discoveries reveal Wu Zetian's masterstroke. She built military outposts far into Central Asia, securing safe passage all along the Silk routes. Harry Rothschild has come to the very start of the Silk Road in Chang'an to find the latest archaeological evidence of trade in Wu's capital.
This is incredible. We've been allowed to come right down here into the Western Market. We're standing right on the edge of the canal, looking right across into this square where you had all of these stalls arrayed, where rows of ironmongers and butchers and tanners and silversmiths, goldsmiths, calligraphy brush salesmen would be arrayed, where you could find anything under the sun. If you get down closely here, you can see ruts that have been left in the earth from the carts that went over this bridge. You really feel the ambience of the Western Market.
In Wu Zetian's Chang'an, the east and west markets marked the start of the Silk Road. In the west market, goods from lands to the west of Chang'an were bought and sold. Silk Road trade not only made Wu's empire wealthy, it brought so many foreigners to China that her capital became one of the first truly cosmopolitan cities in the world. People from all across the world traveled to Chang'an, and many chose to stay. And this multicultural influence can still be felt in present-day Xi'an.
We are walking along the Hui Street, the Chinese Muslim street, in the very heart of Old Town Chang'an. It is bustling, it is vibrant, it is full of energy, as you see by the milling bustle going on behind me now. I think these are sugared figs or dried figs here. These came from along the Silk Road from Persia. So this is a kind of wheat kernel candy, and he's pulling this taffy. And then afterwards, they'll take the taffy and they'll roll it out with pumpkin seeds or with sesame seeds, and then turn it into this hard candy. The sesame came from Persia and the Middle East along the Silk Road. So this is sort of the fruit of something that was trafficked 1,300 years ago during Wu Zetian's time. Not bad. It is good. I think in terms of the multiculturalism, the vibrance, the bustle, the energy, just the constant commercial buzz, you have a great sense of what was going on during the time.
By 662, with her husband the emperor ill, Empress Wu Zetian was in effective control of the whole Chinese empire. Trade had brought wealth and luxury, evident from the valuable artifacts that have been found. And Wu wanted to flaunt this to the rest of the world. To do this, she planned the expansion of the imperial palace on a scale never seen before. When archaeologists first uncovered the foundations, they were amazed by what they found. This is one of the huge gated entrances, rebuilt to scale on those very foundations.
This is Danfeng Gate, the southern gate of Daming Palace. Just looking up at it, it conjures a sense of awe. For me, it's a statement. It provides a sense of imperial grandeur. It makes anyone sort of standing before the gate feel a sense of their own smallness and insignificance.
Wu Zetian's Daming Palace was the largest in the world. Completed in just 3 years, the scale of the complex outshone anything anyone had ever seen.
Look at the size of Daming Palace. This is twice as big as old Pompeii. It's 5 times bigger than the Forbidden City of the Ming and Qing dynasty emperors. It's 22 times the size of the Acropolis. The scope, the grandeur, it's absolutely staggering. You can read about it, but you don't really appreciate that magnitude until you step out on this balcony and you look out at this vista. There are archery grounds, there are polo grounds, cockfighting arenas, places for drama troupes to practice, and that's just the beginning. There are 3 or 4 more palaces beyond that. Emissaries coming from